the one harmony on the various words, the complete imperfect creating being, perfected knowledge and existence, the God that knoweth the world, supreme God, communicating eternity, teacher of gods and human beings, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the secure provisioner of life, I prostrate and make offerings and go for it. To the Founder, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the one God beyond the time destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in full contact, the Sagata, knower of the world, supreme God of human beings and humanity, teacher of gods and human beings, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the secure provisioner of life, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for it. To the Founder, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the one God beyond the time destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in full contact, Sagata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings and beings, teacher of gods and human beings, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the secure from the shackled plan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for it. Where no supreme monster pretends to evolve on this earth, you paced out 7 strides to escape, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise men, I prostrate. With pure bodies formed supremely pure, superstars shine like a golden mountain, playing their places in the three worlds, wherever best, more to you I prostrate. With the supreme signs, face lights form the smooth, color like gold, to you I prostrate. Dust free like you, the three worlds are not, incomparably wise ones, to you I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the founder having all understanding, the field of miracles gorgeous like a vast ocean, to you the one loftiness I prostrate. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime reality, to the Dharma that pacifies, I prostrate. Those who are liberated and who also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualifying with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts. To you, the sublime community intending virtue, I prostrate. Homage to the Supreme Buddha, homage to the Dharma refuge, homage to the great Sangha, to all three every devout homage, to all worthy of respect, bowing with bodies as many as all realms, atoms, and all aspects. With supreme faith, I pay homage. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a little aberration, a faint gleam, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud, seen with the viewpoint sense. Through these merits may sentient beings attain miraculous seeing, subdue the foul faults and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness and death. To page 15 for the Heart of Perfection of Wisdom Sutra. I prostrate to the Arya triple gem. Thus did I hear at one time the Bhagawan was dwelling on Masavolta's mountain in Rajagriha, together with a great community of monks and a great community of bodhisattvas. At that time the Bhagawan was absorbed in the concentration on the manifestation of one form without perfection. Also at that time the bodhisattva Manasabhota looked upon the very practice of profound perfection of wisdom and beheld those 5 aggregates also as empty of inherent nature, vanity, power, form, the veritable character, acceptedness, and the bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara. Now to the disciple of the astray who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom, he said that in the bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara said this to the venerable Shakyamuni the leading cause of the living, who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom, should not depart from this, for at the aggregate beholding those 5 aggregates, also as empty of inherent nature, form is empty, emptiness is form, emptiness is not other than form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, the aggregates of the emptiness of form is the source of everything.
not deficient, not fulfilled. Shari Putra, therefore, uniqueness, there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no oppositional factors, no consciousness. No I, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no odor, no taste, no object of touch, and no phenomenon. There is no I other, and so on, including no mind element, and no mental consciousness element. There is no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on, including no creation, no death, and no extinction of nature. Similarly, there is no suffering, no origination, also human harm. There is no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and dwell in the perfection of wisdom, the mind without obscuration and without fear. Having completely passed beyond error, they reach the endpoint of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the three times also manifestly completely awaken to unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment in reliance on the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra equal to the unequaled, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering should be known as the truth since it is not false. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is declared Tayata Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisoha. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, should train in the profound perfection of wisdom like that. Then the Bhagawan arose from that concentration and commended the Bodhisattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, saying, well said, son of the lineage, it is like that, it is like that. One should practice the profound perfection of wisdom, just as you have indicated. Even the Tathagatas rejoice. The Bhagavan having thus spoken, the Venerable Sharadeviputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, those surrounding in their entirety, along with the world of gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, were overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by the Bhagavan. To page 25 for the short mandala. Sashi Koge Choche Me Do Dra Re Ra Le Shi Ni De Hyen Pa Di Sanje Shin De Me De Yo Wa Ye Drabu Nanda Shin La Chu Pa Sho Jetsa Lama Dang Wu Ke Nam Ye Chu Gu Ka La Kin Zi Jin De Se Che Da Zhen Be Du Je Zi Ma La Sa Je Shu Ji Sha A Tu So I Da Mu Ratna Mandala Kamriyatayami Sanje Jadan Saji Shanan La Janjo Bada Dani Jason Chi Dabi Chujin Jive Lola Benji Sanje Dobara Sanje Jadan Saji Shanan La Janjo Bada Dani Jason Dagi Chujin Jive Sanam Ji Dola Benji Sanje Dobara Sanje Jadan Saji Shanan La Janjo Bada Dani Jason Dāgē chēchēn jēbē sānām jē dōlā pēnchē sāngjē chō gāngē tēnchē dōwā chōng gōwā mēwā jē mēwā chōwā mēwā dā mēwā wā mēwā chō mēwā tāndē tēmē tēnchē mē chōwā nīshī shidā sōbē sāngjē mā nāngjē dāmbā tēnā chāngchē lō dōnyū nyū chē sāngjē chōbē lā chī chē sāngjē kāñchē tēnchē chāndā mēwā tēnchē chō lā dōwā tēnā shēntē lō chō bā tēnchē bē lō mā rō mō chē dāgē chī gō Pende di shana ga de jime go ne jisan de go san tu jime go de do so hai da zo go no kom chi ba ta go no de ne da ren ga zo mi le den de top mi ha le den ta le den tun do da ta nang be shu ne do ri duk sha go do ri duk na ge ta le den ya shu de ma zo la top de yo res ra ne ne de Ludin Didin Layada, Susi Go Tonda Maimba, Delhabe Tonda Manguchi do you in the Tango Milango Spentovala, Susi Sembadi, Nishin Beg Sim Dachimbochko, your teacher doing it in Chunia de Energy Mambala, Sinji Shen, Pendo and Achi doing Ningi and Begono Chanju Simbash. Kuyoresta.
So, first, we should assume a good motivation that we have a human rebirth, which, you know, differentiating it from animals from the perspective of Buddha Dharma, there are 6 types of transmigrators, and the basis of being human is supreme of those. So, having recognized that, one should motivate that not just for oneself, but for others, that human rebirth has a lot of meaning in the sense that one can develop an altruistic heart, making most use of it. And that means making use of, the value of being human in this life and future lives. In short, it is a heart of bodhicitta, a heart of awakening.
Aya. Ta gawa kum ta dare mananzo tiring. Ne lama zonga vezewe lamrim gi tul. Ne chenye chunga chigi chunga di kyo sawa. Yin chen gawa kum resra.
Now we should be joyful. We should rejoice that we have the opportunity to listen to this text by Lama Tsongkhapa, The Path to Enlightenment. So rejoicing in that.
Aya ta dungi nanga la choju lama zonga wadang tomba shaketa wa zor yuwe choju. Sanje dan choju simba tanje yu tada ge kusung tu ki chinlap zizula ya ta. Simni lo chö la doya ki chinlap tokwa chewa jing gyule. Ye tang ane de tokwa chewa jing gyule jeya ki tenzom namdo tokwa duzu ganzo simge. Lam ya wunda mu doya di kasha ki yorwa ta duzu pa seje ne. Suzu simli ya jing lam ya takwa doya ki. Nyuwa chewa jing tende shi le so chenshimbe nga ne. Wade lam rin du duen de ma jikdun shu as.
So once more, we can visualize in the space in front of ourselves the enlightened beings, Lama Tsongkhapa, Shakyamuni Buddha, surrounded by all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, the enlightened beings. And from their 3 doors, holy places of body, speech, and mind, we are blessed with their Dharma. So that means that the insights that the awakened beings have, we are blessed with those. And upon that happening, any kind of doubts or obstructions we have to getting insights into that Buddha Dharma are dispelled, and one's mind becomes endowed with these excellent qualities of a valid path. With that in mind, let's recite up to how to rely on a spiritual friend. The text is in front of you.
Beginning on page 3. Vivid experience. I bow my head to you,
Foremost of the Shakyas, whose body is formed by 10 million perfections, virtues, and excellence. whose speech fulfills the hopes of infinite transmigratory beings, whose mind perceives all objects of knowledge. I prostrate to my illusory animatoria,
whose
in
emanations
sport and
Mano
innumerable
yo de
universes,
de
assuming the responsibility of all the conqueror's conduct. You are the supreme fearless teacher. I prostrate at the feet of Nagarjuna and Sangha.
ornaments of Jambadiva,
Throughout the three levels, we compose commentaries in accordance with the intention of the mother of the conquerors so hard to fathom. I bow to Dipamkara Atisha, holder of the treasury of instructions, that gathers together the important points, completely and unmistakably, on the path of the profound view and vast conduct, the excellent lineages descending from the two great charioteers. I prostrate respectfully to the spiritual teachers, eyes that see all the infinite scriptures, who with skill and ease moved by compassion, supreme entry for the fortune, the stages of the path to enlightenment, excellent lineage, and by Nagarjuna and Asanga, crown ornaments of the wise of Chandrik people, and banners of the fame resplendent amongst transmigratory beings. This instruction, the king of powerful jewels, fulfills all the desired aims of the 9 types of beings, is an emotional,
glorious and excellent explanations,
gathers the rivers of the thousand-fold scriptures. Through it, you can realize that all the teachings are without contradiction, understand that all the scriptures as an instruction, easily find the intention of the conqueror, and be protected from the abyss of very faulty conduct.
therefore the supreme instruction
Is relied upon
by many
fortunate ones,
the wise
beings of India and Tibet. What analytical person would not be captivated by the stages of the path of the 3 types of beings?
contemplate the meaning of
This method that gathers the essence of all the scriptures, even teaching or hearing a single session definitely gathers the great waves,
of the assembled
benefits of explaining and listening to the Holy Dharma. Rely correctly and with effort and thought and action,
the Holy
spiritual friend,
the
the teacher of the path,
and the foundation perfectly bringing auspiciousness for all
the excellent collections of this and future lives. Having seen this, do not, even at the cost of your life, and please them.
with offering of practicing just as they instruct. You, the perfect Guru, practiced in this way.
I am seeking liberation, practice in this way. Niluranjan? Keep going. This body of leisure, more precious than the wish-fulfilling jewel, is found but once, though difficult to obtain again. It finishes in the sky. Having reflected in this way, realizing that all activities are like wind chaff,
You must take its essence day and night. You, the perfect Guru,
practiced in this way, I who am seeking liberation will also practice in this way. Although there is no certainty that after death you will not be born in the bad migrations,
the
3
3
rare sublime ones
will definitely
protect you from this sphere.
therefore steadfastly
Lastly, take refuge in them
and never
to generate their precepts. In addition, think well about the results of black and white actions and depend on the correct practice of that to be
adopted and that to be rejected.
You, the perfect Guru, practiced in this way. I, who am seeking liberation, will also practice in this way.
다들 직 담아들라 디리 기생 먼저 렌데 쉐로
No.
다단데 잠로시 단데 신행에 로메지 띵미지 디지 요군조 숨딩에서 디시 잠로시네 데메지 디 라자니마 메와 차송도 전한다 먼저 렌데 삼로당 또 다나 레 렌데 세데 레 개와 레 야고체나 되부 야고 용고요 레 두자체나 되부 두자 용고요 당연한저 통주를 요들이 내가저 낭배추 켈레니라야 아니 기dig 요다 낭배추 켈말레니 기dig 메오 켈마레 te nangba yinanda menanda chu kelenda chu kemalanda tundu yine dagarare tundu khashegi tundu shenla rogo chiduwa de chena de khorala ya maungbala ya gewa diam gewa shindala ya pendo debi yaga ji yore ndale mile chashene mi khashe ji 밀이야 너버janjanche 주버주janjanche 로 디제니들라 알레 겨치마 파션이 세델레 동이 망보용고요래 겨치마다 동이 용다용로 미가시 지 삼바상고체 밀레 편도janjan체데 세델레 강에 총 아니 겨치마라 예버잖아 다디 어디 셰기요래 렌데세야디 안지 낭바이나 렌데 요다 낭바면에 렌데 메베 깨져 말해 ngoi 니줄라 그 정말라데 요데버지레스로
We have been looking at behavioral cause and effect, or karma. Tonight we will begin to look at refuge, but where it says, I think it's page 5, although there's no certainty that after death you'll not be reborn in the bad migrations, the three rare sublime ones will definitely protect you from this fear. Therefore steadfastly take refuge in them and never degenerate their precepts. We were looking at karma, behavioral cause and effect, under the premise that from virtues, well-being comes, from non-virtues, suffering. And whether one is Buddhist or not, this is the case, that from virtues come happiness, from non-virtues, suffering. That's the case if you're Buddhist. It's also the case if you are not Buddhist. So, for example, we can see this with animals. There are certain animals that are naturally kindly intentioned and help each other. And due to that, in the future lives, they will reap the benefit of such kindness. And then there are humans that only out of ill intention harm others. Their behavior is quite rough. And the karmic result of those negative actions can often be seen in that very life, in that those humans suffer more. But also, of course, it's a given that as a result of those non-virtuous karmas, in future lives they will suffer. However, conversely, those human beings who are kind tend to suffer less in this life, and in future lives, as a result of that kindness, things will go well for them. Now, this is the case whether one is Buddhist or not. We're talking about reality.
당연한서 두스레 빼나 저 치말랍디 타릉 뭐라지 타릉 뭐시다게 말해라 욱디 파다 욱치마도 나나 저 치말 레사르네 저 치마 타녀셔래
We might think future lives are far away. Not necessarily the case. You could breathe in and not breathe out, and that would be future life. So it could be very close.
먼저 단다다 나다 타고 싶지 이거 튕기다 타고 개요 말해
We have like a kind of a solid, wow, future lives way. Not so like that.
다 드링 안아서 수수sem바데 데스 야고치 냐도 안 수수sem바데 흘러지가네 밀려야 펜도로체 수연도 펜도로체나 드링 기호요 맞아 산이 기호도 와라 산이 기호도 하고 드링기 내가 야고 쳐버리게 겨워 치물라야 다가라래 네 제가 드링 단다 체델라 수수 야고 쳐나 아니 겨워 제마들 야고지 용거요 테나시 가서 드링 야고 쳐는 산이 야고 용거도 다가라래 직버치 냐래 로단 다가라게 릭버디 하고 그러면서
So the mode of thinking is like this. If the mind is held to be relaxed, peaceful, and looks out for others and helps them today, then the mind will be happy tomorrow. It's exactly the same with this and future lives. If you're well-intentioned in this life and are kind in the future lives, the results will accrue. Same logic.
That's 먼저 강에 지셔지 가려요 라위나 먼저 산이 가려용 거여보다 먼저 신기요 말다 뭐시 곰자는 것이 신이도 겨 망고 신기도 겨 야야야야는 겨왕압자 겨원이저든 신기도 그래서 겨 치마디 가려용 거여보다 신카거도 뭐시 신이도 된대서 거 겨왕 아마 가르가르 제메디게디야 겨왕압자든데 이것이 또 생구야 도토고요라 산이 가르치고요 메디
다 신투고요 말. 다 디카고요.
In terms of our future lives, there is this underlying uncertainty. We can't be sure of it. But those yogis who, through meditation, develop clairvoyance can recall sometimes 2, 3, 4, 500 of their past lives. They can do that. But it is much more difficult even for them to see their future lives.
말아서 산이를 삼는다는 나구로 저래더라. 낙템된 자시지 거도 거라. 당도 산이 대 위싱 가서디 사제페 간라다 말남자가 두고 인식으로 산쇼 가래 도고 가래 연구에 가르친 거 뭐라. 산쇼야 라야 유메 간시 가라 하고 그래. 산쇼야 라야 유메 가고 하고 해요 말어디. 하고 하면 도 하잖아. 하고 하면 도 하지. 나구로 저래도.
When we think of tomorrow, it's kind of dark, isn't it? In a sense, that unknowingness, because we might have a plan, but whether that plan comes to fruition. Okay, so we have a plan to go to Wish Fulfilling Land and make prayers, isn't it? But will we get up tomorrow morning and do that? Not sure.
제가들 신의 년도매지 댕매지 있어도 하셔서 제가 드네 그지 시외이나 들이 시외이나 저와 가war링게 매디 고쳐야요 말다 기도 든들어지 링기 요단 매당 신고 말에 당아서 신고요 말 댕저요 말했어 제가 다 계세는 든들어 제외이나 안 든들들은 동해시도 들레다 저에 뉴버스를 열어서다 그저스나 열어서 왔다.
It says here, although there's no certainty after death, that you will not be reborn in the bad migrations. So there is that uncertainty. You know, like when we die, where will we start off? Where will we go? There's no guarantee where we're going to be. If, in fact, we took an animal body, suffering would be great. In that light, affording protection comes from the three rare sublime ones. Kunjosum.
제단다 군조스음 제단다 딜레인디 아니 낭바 산제베게다 잠도 샤고에 김전에 가르스나 라닝이 송그 동일에 지신 동일게 지벌에 교회당 아니 원들라미 고만에 지구자당 아니 제 다된 제르말레 그래 라니 지벌에 태나 아니 신 지벌에 잡초로 알아 맞아 데르다 먼저 잠도 지야 돼 수수 동일에 태워져 많이 봐 수수 동일에 태나 이게 미신 동일에 태워 제조 그래 제도 잠도 지야 돼 신기치도 임바데 네 상당고 요레스라.
From the perspective of Buddha Dharma, then, why would we take refuge in the three rare sublime ones? Well, we want to avoid the unfortunate migration and secure a perfect human rebirth or a rebirth of higher status as a human or a god. And in order for that to occur, you need to be able to rely on a valid person that themselves has obtained that state and is free of fears and can show others the way to be free of fears. So this will come out later, but this is the valid reliance.
지단데 직딘 치마 대회 탑된 발라니 라도 직딘 치마스데 세 치마들이다.
Yeah.
세 치마 대회 탑로 봐. 당도 세 치마 야고지 줘야게 탑람들라. 아니 니요레스로.
Yeah, so the subject heading we have in the LamRim is that there are two methods under which or with which we can secure bliss in the future lives.
템발라 주베고 잠도 담바 장바당 델레 탐제지 자와 이 집에 대화죠. 템발라 주베고 잠도 담바스에 따래. 다 남바산제와 인다 만연사데. 남바산제에 템발라 주베고 디 잠도래. 군조송을 져서 주 잠도 요나 저 남바산제에 차도 거라. 군조송을 져서 주베 잠도 메나 남바산제에 차고요 말아. 제가 디 따직 디 남바 인다 만연게 산zam라고 샤자들에 소래.
The first of those causes or methods for securing happiness, future life, is refuge. And this is the door, the excellent door upon which one becomes a Buddhist. So what is being said is that whether or not one is a Buddhist practitioner comes down to whether one has taken that refuge or not. The valid direction.
델레야 네 칸라디네 just 시샤로 되는시 다 두윤들라 남들라 잔테서이나 축도와 sabje 난도 남는 전문은 시레도 Kanla dine gyab sutuwe gyu, tela dine gyab sutuwe yu, chisan gyab sunzu, gyab sunwe labja sirwa. Da dine sana gyab sutuwe gyu, chisan da gyamdo di kante chawala, gyamdo gyu, gyamdo sayade, manzu gyu la yorwa, susu simgi gyu la, simgi. Da susu lode chawarwa, kunjo sumla yichi ki tewa, che. Ini dindegi logic yoga dila, gyamdo sigora, susu gyu. Da di, drebu sonza di gyujila dine yungu oro gyujila dine kegu yewe inza kanla dine kyasutuwe gyu sashi ro
In the Liberation in the Palm of Your Hand by Pabonka Rinpoche, there are 6 subheadings for these, what is going to secure happiness for future lives, meaning that the door of it is refuge, 6 subheadings. But here in the LamRim we have 4, LamRim Chenmo. The first is, what are the causes of refuge? Then objects, then reasons, and then how to go for refuge. So the first one, in terms of the causes for refuge, really it is one's mind, isn't it? Because it is a mind that has the potential to take a direction, and because the resultant state can be produced, the cause is there.
chedan da duks chegi yore tanda kyasutuwe kyamdu gyudila ya ni da re ma dizen doshana ya hirwa kyamdu gyudila tuyo yongda nyi shaga yore jikba dang teba sirwa jikde nyi jikba de kare sanana da ngaranzo tanda pinjela ya le gewa kazu che miga kazu che mi samudang susu shingir warwa ngaranzo chunju gane che tanda sawa 내가 야 가서 체인 내가 도 가서 체인 상담이나 하고 그랬어. 내가 야구 체인이나 디 여치마 아니 원들 하면 고마다야. 내가 누가 제가 되게 아니 내가 둥에 디바 톱 첨부 제가 되게 아니 엔롤라 또 야랬다. 제산다 엔롤로 도나 아니 페나다지 냐와 이다서야 돼. 엘랑아주 미기 통고요 말에 튼두도 정아주 통고더라. 튼두도 이제 개월에나 콘솔 둥에 가져야 더라 콘솔 나자라버지 유나에 면주로 지가시는 나자 가와요 하마고 면배 아니 면주 로바 제작도 아니 시다 면주 지면도 나는 아니 슬리핑 제샤 슬리핑 사지면서 돈다 세라다 간다 칙디 칙디 님부러져데 되는 세셔라 아니 튼돌로 동에 할래도 같이다 오다 동에 텐데질레 테는데 베사서레 삼심나라 아니 직소와단 직다지 고고요 직다데 요나 안 딜레 기ven이 와술로도 사다용거라.
So then in that sense, we are understanding the 2 causes for refuge of being fear and faith. In the first sense, this kind of caution or fear is what we are, it's like when we're young and we start off with a job to do, and we have to know that if we do that job well and create and do good actions, the result will be good. For example, if we do that job well, then that can result in a good rebirth in the future. Just by way of it being virtuous actions, the result will be good. Conversely, if our karmic actions are non-virtuous and negative, the result of that can be a rebirth in a difficult migration. Okay, so let's leave aside the most difficult migrations of the hells and ghosts for the minute, because we can't see them. But let's look at the animals. If one is born in the animal realm, that would be a lot of suffering, because when the animals are sick, they cannot communicate what type of sickness or how to heal. Diganga?
ini dine 미기 드라마와 세셔도로.
Yeah. And then
민년부러질라 세셔.
Yeah. And then there's cases where animals are powerless and are killed at the hands of humans. So understanding those difficulties of the fears around an animal rebirth, one seeks a type of protection from that.
다 딜라 투경도 다 람랭게 냠년치다는 펜토고요랑 알아서 치와 미다고 상나데 치와게 남징이 메레스로와 모란 상마 치와게 그래서와 뭐이네 주디 치와게라 미상마 치와게라
Yeah.
수직 대면도 다 가디시바 댕이 메로와 제가 다 치베제네 가리 편도고도서 어디 상로 당하데 개좀 쉬어래 치베제 다 가리 편도고도와 모란도 뒤지 모란도 배샤 돈다 갈래시 배샤 편도고데 편도면도 미상마 갈래 접접접 배샤 지에 차선 샤는 로고도
Yeah.
다 뒤윤 신다 파션 수수 류대샤는 로고도 수수 뒤윤 지 자진 부치야 빈자로다 개겐로 드즈 피시글라볼라 펜도 말에 수수지 워체다 다 10月 최초마도 강ገ년 매편 봐서야 돼. 될라 땅 예시지 녀고 요다. 뒤중나 안에 잠도 야고 용거다로.
And related to all of this is reflecting on our death and impermanence, because it is sure, it's a given that we have to say bye bye, we will die. We're not going to stay, right? But we don't know when that will occur, and we don't even know the time. So the time of death is uncertain. And in that context, we have to ask the question, when death comes, what will be of benefit to us? What will help us? Well, having saved money, that's of not benefit. You cannot take it. You cannot take even one's body. That must be left behind. And to one's kind, one's dear ones, one's relatives. So therefore comes this fourth point in the death and impermanence, that the only thing that matters, or third point, the only thing that matters at the time of death is one's insight, one's spiritual insight.
어디 가는서 초응어 나네요. 직강에로든지 태도 삼대 다나 야고요래. 산산의 수수 직잘라로든지 라로와 잘라자 전부든지 라야. 아니 수수 가원이오로는 가가치 도보토모 가가치 파마 가가치 땅아 파마 가가치로 파마 가가치 로스터스 파마 도야요 뭐래. 이게 빈자도 마도 로스미슬라스 도요래. 셈나라데 수수를 강에로지 내용도 산산로. 아 딜레디오 데 삼당게와다 계시 콘종아 투보이네 10에서 콘종 알레 펜토 마르게 콘종레 펜토 마르 시드드네 수수지고 돼야래 콘종 티야면도 삼다샤나 딜레코 지 콘종레야지 멜람로 잡 셈바 수수 셈바데 셈바데 야고체 되나네 nga devodan thangmayin 콘종 가보용 거라 당에 콘종 나라 심데체 삼바마지와체 되나 아니 콘종질라 삼바 마지우나 아니 류데 나자도 담는 용거더라 셈데 마지나 류라 나자다면에 류라 나자요나 수수 가워유니 빈자도 심데치 그러 봐 콘조 심데 퇴버서고도 와 체다 삼로디 직수수 메제나라지 강에로 담는 용디 다 치베지 최마도 강에 안 펜토면 다 든데든데래 삼다네 수수 삼바데 데스페로야 베펜도 쳔모요 그래서
So in this life, it is very important to think on this point, that at the time of death, spiritual insight will help. Because let's say you lose something of value at a time like that, or you have to split from your loved ones, you have to separate from them. I separated from my relatives, my parents, 30 years ago. Okay, so some mental suffering was there from that. But then I sometimes contemplate, if I saw them, what benefit would it be at the time of my death anyway? Could they really help me at the time of my death? Well, and then I thought, what will help is if I think good thoughts about them, I pray to them. And what will help them is if I keep a happy mind. That's of much more benefit than worrying. Because if I worry, and a result of worry, I get unhealthy, they will be upset. They will be upset. So what really is of benefit at the time of death is if there is spiritual insight in the mind.
제가 다나 튜얼레로
Yeah.
아니 군조선은 잡스토는 잡투고로 베서로 봐. 잡투고로 베서 튜얼레로 봐.
Now the question comes, if you go for refuge in Buddha Dhamma Sangha, can protection be afforded or not?
근데 렌 루두점나 자자자담 잡토래 서로.
To give a short answer, 100% can protect.
가르쳐네. 줌진 가르쳐내려와. 줌진 가르쳐내 잡토래 서로다. 그러나 배나 줌진 가르려나. 먼저 심 잡스루 군조선의 잡스루도 심나라 가와요. 가와. 심나라 가와당. 심나라 대와 가와. 개와용 거. 개와 심디. 군조그 지 연대다 근데 통도 심나라 수수 간랑랑 지 이제디 지 삼삼 당아 잠니시다 삼삼 지 아니 수수 심나 직다다 남다다 타도다 뉴모 지 된심 두요 말에 되자 시당 컨트롤도 레기요 말에 심나라 가와지 레기요 디 카레스나 개와 개와 디기 또기 아니 개베 되고 카레 대와레 디 당아 로주 망고야 다 로주 셰모 가시 리버턴에 줌진 리버턴에 셰오다 gewe debuti deware tanji shewa na shi ngarang zo nima chik susi semba de yagu che jibu yagu che nyato we na shenbyen ge samlu che susi semdi matu kwa che che ne chikla shenla pendo che semba yagu che nyato we na susi jiwa yewa da she ma gorwa susi chile yu ni midu zo desu hlo ro cha ro do ani sanyi na le susi pe jiwa yung do dire da ko ngoy ne zo gyur gyurik tumbala ne dewrik tumba gewara da 다 디메브체 다 디메브체 다 시글라오들 아니 감다다 셰나다 딘데체 데비나 아니 베지 콘도 딘데 사제로 데비나 다디 심디게 가래 카둑들 마지버서 사는 거라 카둑 다가라는 마지버서 아니 데산이나니레 마지버서고도 치산다디 겨치말라 아니 겨워 독자 둥 디벨레 둥에 용 거다 둥에 되우차고 둥에 세상 삼로단단 디니니 온게 다 잠도 제비나 셈나라야 타도다 나제단 진심단 콘도 디게 레고요 말다 셈나라 베 가와 셈 시와 흘러 셈지 갈랑랑로 가도이나지 지 여섬선 당하란 지 겸니시다 여섬 예지시서로 여디 디도게 아니 겨치마디 야고지 되부 야고지 연구여다 금전테리다
The reason is that if the protection can be afforded because when the mind is taking a direction or refuge, there is a sense of joy and bliss and virtue. Why would that be the case? Because the enlightened beings, the sublime three jewels, have certain qualities. And one sees those qualities and has faith and conviction in them. So when the mind is joyful, seeing the qualities of the enlightened beings and so forth, there's no way the mind can have worry or fear or jealousy or anger. So by the kind of like the power of that joy or virtue, that's the cause. And then the result is bliss. The result is bliss if you generate such a mind at the time of death. Future result is bliss and well-being, a good birth. Conversely, at death, if there is a lot of worry, jealousy, anger, these are the causes of a negative or non-virtuous state of mind, and it's difficult in that sense for refuge to come. It's difficult to take refuge, so that could be, a difficult situation. So now we can see this just not in terms of death only, but on a causal level in a daily basis. When you are happy and have an altruistic heart and do good things during the day, not only are you relaxed, but others around you are also relaxed. And this goes into the future. So this is exactly the same when you take a refuge in Buddha Dhamma Sangha and have conviction in it.
디 ngendoge 동해란 직다글로 되나 아니 텔라교에 누가디 군조선라 요 이치가 이지기 대화당 아니 ngen도 동해단 테베 대화 군조섬디 답에는 건조 산제 군조디다 ngen선 동해다 용고 말 동해제 용고 말 근데 지나다 나나래 지 중로시는 섬산도와 아니 최군조디 짱거래 와 짱무였어. 다 문에 뒤잡 두고 열어. 나는 좀 냠낸 채들이 추운 거죠. 다디 야야 냠낸 채네. 곰잡되는 수수 셈디. 배대 즉 동반이 무슨도 통역이 로 된대질 채도 추군저 차로 열어. 근데 채운데 레사도 소고요 말에. 당연하죠 냠낸 채운데 나는 당부 냠낸 채운데 이모션도 컨트롤 치도야로 된대. 좀 이제 남도도 바까야로 된대 좀 내가 가야 돼. 호라 당부. 근데 내 싸워지야 매웠어. 싸워지야 매웠어. 근데 다 된대지 요 진예디 가르쳐 군 저기 여러. 제가 아니 딜라야 유엔덴디 제 요와 이치 대발리게 여러. 제가 군조선에 네 초군조 귤레 된바들 긴두 군조 잡도베 다로스. 제가 다 된대지 이 유엔덴디 셰요인데 된대 유엔덴지 유엔다 만조 상물라 고사래. 나나마인 바 심지 탐제라. 유엔덴 된대지도 고사래. 티도 고고도 세. 아니 겹 로스디 수수 셈디 겹유티 초스 야 도르다 된대시다 고고도스디 아니 셈디 잠동을 정어서 총관지나 잘라녀 두고 있는 거 잘라디 고고도스 아니 대녀와 두고도 지고래 셈디 당에서 동에를 겹투니디 군조스므레샤 텔 두고 영에서 동에게 빼샤 겹투그래 겹투고 말해 강배 겹투그래 겹투 촉배 겹투그래 겹투고 말해 땀니다 famous 점블링 나는 famous 차네 famous 되었다 이달 겨울에 거 이다도 당 시우 타고라 내가 장세데 이다 제게 팅도 뭐 마우드서 냐외 나라야다 데데로 내가 장세도 또 이다를 제제 이다도 당 시우 타고다
It is then developing a level of faith or conviction that the three jewels can protect one from the lower realms, isn't it? That is the second of the causes for refuge. Not just a concern that you might go there, but you have to have a valid conviction. Well, there's no way an awakened being can be in this situation of a difficult rebirth. That's the first sublime jewel, is the Buddha. But really, it is this second jewel of Dharma that we have to practice that affords the protection from difficult rebirth. Now, how's that the case? Well, we have to cultivate in our own minds the wisdom consciousness that realizes emptiness or the lack of intrinsic nature of things. So that once one generates such a direct perception of the truth, no new karma is created. No new karma will be created. So creating negative karma is stopped. And, we have some experience of this. We talk about controlling our emotions or having too much thoughts. This is like that. There's a cessation here so that the root of those disturbing emotions is severed or cut. This is the second jewel of the three sublime jewels of the Dharma jewel. On a causal level, there is Buddha and Sangha then. There's Sangha. On a causal refuge level, there is this third jewel of the Sangha community that supports us on the path. But it's important to remember that all beings are looking for a valid direction or place to go, not just oneself. So refuge is like that. It's like going somewhere to do something. So for example, like you would go to the shop to buy something. Here, you would take a direction so that you wouldn't have to experience a difficult result. Because if we think about it practically, at the time of death, is money going to help you? No. What about a house? No benefit. Friends? No benefit. Fame? Of course not. In fact, clinging to fame and wealth at the time of death can create a cause to be born as a hungry ghost. And if you are too attached to things like dancing, you can be born as a hungry ghost as well, because the hungry ghosts, they like to dance.
One time, we have one friend, and he's very he's very joking. And my other my friend, he is student, and he was so sick, and he kidney problem. And we did laws. He likes listening these mega Jacksons dancing. He likes it, and just we making entertaining for him. He so sick and pain. And other monk is very joking. Okay, you want to go? You want the next born rebirth in Hungry God, right? Hungry God. Hungry God likes dancing, then you like dancing. Now you go to river, and he said, "Really? Oh no, I'm not dancing. I don't want to go to Hungry God." 시 내가 저기 시 연구 있어도 그 연구 말을는 연구 있어도 레레 니스 그냥 저치마 한글 걸 드라이는 년라라 당한 얘기면서
He loved Michael Jackson so much. So we used to say to him, don't listen to Michael Jackson so much. But he would not listen to our advice. So then we said, listen. But in the future, you could become a hungry ghost if you cling to that too much. So he stopped.
근데 여러 제가 레다 건저 아니 센나당 아니 근데 지 되자 근데 지금 되는 쇼가 착도 있는데 근데 결론도 여러 착봐 난다 난 차도 시글러버 차도 결론 you 둘을 결론 둘 신나서도 차도 제가 제가 차도 좀 맞아 메시 시글러버 차도 뭔데 주네 겨우치면 둘을 결론도 없다 잡잡지 메시
If one has strong kind of miserliness or very strong desire and worry, jealousy at the death moment, it's dangerous. If you have miserliness and very strong desire, that can create the cause to be a craving ghost. But if you are very jealous at the death moment, one can be reborn as a snake. So one has to take care.
그 주지 거라 저서 주카래 저서 여러 주라 저서 다 유몽게 셈도 맞아와신 근데 잠도제는 되게요 말아 타도 가제 좀 친구도 사야 말아 그 저한테 약사질을 두고 열다 간다 제가 잡고도 왔다 잠도 잡고도 알아
Because what's happening here is at the death moment, the afflictions, the invalid emotions are acting as a cause for the next rebirth. But if the mind is taking refuge at the time of death, because one is in virtue, the mind is in virtue and joy, focused on enlightened beings, then we'll go to a good path, good birth.
대장도 여러분 이제 송도
Yeah.
저는 잔주심 공음스러워 시갈로 잔주심 줄을 깨나다 셈 거다 잔주심 맞이베체 잔주심 공기 시베이나 겨워시면 밀루토가 자자자단 바다 캘렌치긴 송소 되게 가르쳐 거거든. 또 공원에서라 교릭도 벌네 대우는 잔주심네 셴라 셴뱅게 셈바들 봐. 셴뱅게 셴라 편도가 셈바디 수수셈나라 가오도 안 가나도 상담들 봐. 지 문에 밀라 편도 셔야게 수수셈지 여. 대난시 님도라 수수 액션게 밀라 로봇 체비나 수수셈나라 지 초로지. 멘다지 레야도 봐. 지 셈나라 지 초로 멘다지 레야도 와. 디 토어디 가르치는 겨워라 겨워 디기 데비디기 데와디 겨워 균치마들라 데와지 연구여러 와잖아 욱체가라 벌라 디요나 안 데와디 가르 덴돌 하다 밀리 겨울랭겨다 밀리 겨울랭겨 와잖아
Okay, I see.
다 밀리 겨울랭이 두고는 전주쌤 공고다 디리다
His Holiness the Dalai Lama always advises at the death moment, if one can, of course, it goes without saying, if one has generated a kind heart kind of automatically, let's say, in an unfabricated way, you will have a good rebirth. But just to die, just as to go through the dying process, thinking on bodhicitta, in other words, having concern for all beings' welfare, guarantee 100% you will be human again. It is like a reality. And this is called rigtumba. What it means is that because the mind is in virtue on a causal level, the resultant state will have to be commensurate with the cause. So there's a continuum here of similar class of virtue. And this goes for both virtues and non-virtues. Yes.
아니 짐바.
Oh yeah, so therefore, when we, you can get this sense of good heart, of kindness when beings help each other. There's kind of a good feeling around. And when that kindness or good feeling of concern for others continues, if you breathe your last breath with such a kind thought, then that creates the cause for a good human rebirth. Jimbo?
너 알아서 체들라 짐바 담베이나 아니 롱주용 야로 미카시
Yeah.
갈레시라마잖아 벤조도서 야타지 리로도 저왕아마 짐바 담래 아니 제 미카시 미카시비 닝저고 용고도 하고라 두저 서버곰다 서버곰나 미페저게 닝저고 용야당 돈이 주고 용야 수dim다 두저 송베이나 아니 다 두저 서버곰야도 다 개좀 쉬어라 아니야 서버곰네 미카시 근데도 당부 동의해드래 돈이 말어요네 그 서버 고민데 동의 보이는데 미 돈이 주고 차야도 제대로 서고는 먼저인데 여 타와가시 왜 동의거든 왜 아니 또 그런 서버 공공고도 미상만 가보셔 제대로 서버 공배 편이라 그 도당 여보여 봐 이나 당부 동의 보여래네 정도 진짜 그런 서버 냠내 야고 채는데 제일 미망보 그런 가보셔야 용거도 디 갈등 그랬대 쇠배 아니 콘로체 랑진진시 근데 쟤는 아니 미마가와샤 아니 저랑 돈닝저위나 미토니로 가보용고 말해 돈닝저위나 미토니마도 미더치니마도 차로다 가서 거기서 콘로다 타도다 나제 아니 나제디 숙청부잖아 디 가보지금보다 미 가보지금보다 나제제 나 신기유 jan 신기면은 신기유라 나제sen으로 신기면은 디그라 공원이지 마신의 신기유 내 신기유 janjal라디면 디 가보지금보다 디 나제당 차도 두즈 되어요 두즈게네 미 토니마도 다 나랑즈 상미 미 통야다 닝조고고이나 스베냠을 공고래 봐 어딘데 여러다 디 두즈 쳐기 냠네 딱 들어 나랑즈 되어요 메지단 되어도
Then, talking about the result in terms of it being similar to the cause, or the cause, directly relating to the result, it is said that the direct result of being a generous person, if you've given a lot, is that you will be wealthy. And we can see this from our experience with some people, that they don't seem to have to do much, but it's easy for them to get wealth. In terms of that, the result, and that's the result because the people have been generous. And it's also that some people you just find attractive, they're attractive to look at, and this is because they have been patient in the past, have cultivated forbearance, and somehow you just want to look at them. But also they could have kept ethics as well. That's another reason. But then there are others who are ugly, excuse me, who are ugly, but you don't want to look at them. But I've seen some cases with some of the monks that are not so good to look at. But in this life, they have practiced and meditated on patience so much that after a while, everyone wants to be near them and they kind of look good. It's strange, isn't it? Because even though they're not so good to look at physically, everyone likes them. Everyone likes them. So that's the benefit of being patient. Conversely, if you have a lot of anger, self-interest, even if you have a beautiful face, because you are full of anger and self-interest, people might not want to see you or not want to connect with you because you have jealousy, because you have pride. And these two, jealousy and pride, are quite closely related. So pride's not so good, is it? Because you might feign that you know something, but you don't. Okay, it's okay if you don't know something. It's better to say you don't know. But in this case, you might have the pretense that you know something, and that is not a very good quality. So these are experiential cause and results we can see in our lifetime's experience of states of mind.
제가 다단다 갑디 네 지구 뇌송게 동일한 직다가 로당 안들레 교회 누구 군주선을 이지기 대원님보디 다 잠도 부타마다서 디니니를 라레가 오래서 그래.
Right, so therefore those two things then, having a fear of a difficult rebirth on the one hand, and secondly, a faith that the three rare sublime ones can afford protection from that, you know, commensurate with your strength in those two is the power of your refuge, or let's say quality, putaka.
단다디 제르문진 송도 제나 디니 책잠데 소나 잠로양 책잠데 티안다스 제 녜송 그 동에란 직다가 로데다 안텔레 교회노 군조선라 요 이치베 이지기 대반이데 책잠질 소나 저나 잠로데 다 책잠질레스 다 디니베 슈크탈라 during the 수수 세미나라베 이쿠와 초와요라고지 정보이나 잠로데베 부타고지 용그레스 제단 규스바 규델라데네 데부디 용고요라 어디시고 제단 아주 말한서 다 망보지 낭바 차 차오래 저랑서 망보지 가셔야 낭바 제가 되어라고 요네 남자 지금 말에 낭바 체마 제셔야 될 낭바 체마 제 수수라오래 봐.
Yeah.
다 펜도 수송원에 따져야 고체 아니 단다디 땅원에 지심 동해 강에 태도 잡tum이 지고 거요. 개치셔. 지 단다 쉬우나시리 수수 이지당 아니 디 이어나 잡두고 거를 자자자 봐. 강금에 와서 저 뒤든 두어 쉬우송라 수수 매와당 이지 템보 이어나 셈디 이제의 템포 직삼바 샤사지 요나 아니 셈디 투구 말와 디 펜도도 와제단디 다 직보다 대원이디 돌아야네 삼로 망보 당고야다 다도서 삼로 가스군에 당기 치워미다 원에 삼로 당서 나 레준데네 수 삼로 당와 양 동해든데네 삼 수수 동해들로 되데 또 동해들에 짜와가 누가 술로도 삼로 당들와 먼저 메제나라 동해라고 담으러 용거로 와 수수직 파마단 대배 동에 요래 수수 빈자 수수 따자와에서 가로든데 카테베 동에 가시에 수수 부구도 대배 동에 가시에 수수 개겐도 대배 동에 담으러 용거로 왔는데 여매 가둘라네 동에디 좁에 누워술로도 삼당고를 와 아니 고네게 군조선은 이지치는 루와요 말다 루와 산제 최단 그데 타워도 난 잡성도 하셔다 어제 어디르다
Yeah, so these two, Lama Tsongkhapa states very clearly the quality of refuge. So if you're going for refuge in Buddha Dhamma Sangha is just lip service, meaning that it's just coming from the mouth but not heartfelt, then your refuge will be just that, hollow words. But if over a sustained period of time your refuge is deep and you've thought about it and you have the faith of conviction, your refuge will be of quality, stable. Now, in terms of being a Buddhist or not, you don't have to worry, you don't have to push it. You're free to be Buddhist or not, you know. But you should check up. You should do a thorough analysis of whether that is good for you. Because in reality, when the mind faces difficulties and sufferings, you need a valid protection from those mental states. And, you know, you need to feel that you have 100% protection. So if the mind is stable and has a thorough conviction when difficulties come, then you won't get upset or hallucinate. It's true, isn't it? Because if you if you think on death and impermanence a lot, on karma a lot, cause and effect, suffering, particularly the sufferings that we humans have to go through in this life. Sometimes we have to separate from parents, so much difficulty there. Sometimes we have to separate from friends, so much suffering. And then we have problems with children, we have to separate problems with the teacher. So if these problems are coming up, there has to be something that affords protection in the face. And then we would say that when you see Buddha Dharma Sangha, the three rare sublime jewels, that protection is unerring or infallible. As it says in the teachings, those who are desirous of the state of liberation or nirvana should take refuge in the three sublime jewels, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha.
어디 just 유들래 네 니와 just 유들라 네 산제 추 긴두군조 숨디 just 유레서 그래라
So what are the objects then of refuge? The three are Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha.
제가 단다 당기 셔다래 산제 추던 타와되고는 이제 타와되 봤어요 동해래 타와되 바로 다디 얘기 동해래 와 양안서 짬로 체스도 배나 저나 두고도거드나 짬로 체네 디팽 말다 류지 동해들 갈라서 그러와 이기동에들 짬로 팽겨요 다 두스 디여쳐 그래 류일 덴베 동해디 배나 두고도나 갈라서 고나거드나 맨사르와 이제 니 자고도나 둘러코라 아니 두스 그러면서 저게 아니 짬로 체네 상모 디도스 되잖아 말다 짬로디 이기동에 접 이기 이를 잡고 그래요. 점도서 이기 도고 스스 심기 배 샤서지라고 여러 들이.
So what was stated is we're going for this state of nirvana, liberation. What is the liberated state? It is a state that is free of suffering completely. But it's mental, isn't it? It is a mental state. We are using the mind. For example, you can't take refuge when you're hungry, thinking that taking refuge is going to fill the stomach. You have to eat to do that. Or physically, if you're cold or you have a headache, you have to take medicine. Cold, you have to put on clothes. So refuge is not a physical thing, it is a mental thing.
다이나야 직 처chen 또버 톰불레나야 심게 류락 완 유튜브에로. 간주 단다 요 말에. 레 당보월디 요 말에. 야 또버 톰불레나 아니 칼라 사마고 같은데다 둘로 고마고 같은데 연구여래로.
Having said that, if you reach a high level of mental attainment, that can affect the body. So those that are highly realized won't need to eat as much, they won't need medicines and so forth.
In 1959, the laws monk put in the prison jail in this China government. Then they said, you do prayer, you do refuge, you eat refuge, you don't need clothes, you wearing refuge. And they said, and then one practitioner is Islam called LamRim, LamRim. And he said, yeah, I can wearing my refuge. I'm eating my refuge. I know eating food. He give food, give other people. He never eating, and he know much wearing clothes. And this China soldier said, yes, you are really practitioner. You go out. Yes, yeah, you are really practitioner. You go out. And he know much. And he usually do, that prisoner give lots of job and not enough food. Lots of people dead. My uncle went there 300 prisoner took one area. Finally, only 30 people live, or most hungry dead, not enough food dead. And my uncle said, and he did prayer for Tara. And then he follow unconscious 2-3 times, not enough food. And one day he went, he do mentally prayer for Tara, not loud, speedily. and mentally he refuged go to Tara. And then he went washing clothes in the river, on the river. And he follow under near the river. Mm. Then the one daughter, she has a similar bug, one bug. She was there. She said, "You eat, you eat." And then when he afraid, he so afraid he was. It is not good for this cheating. If Chinese soldiers see and said, "Please don't come next time," he told. And she said, "No, no, no. You come every day exactly this time. You come here every day. Don't tell other people." And he went every day, and she bring. She was 9 years old. Bag was samba.
Yeah.
One, and he eat this, and he eat 3/4. He take two give his friend, and he believed that this is Dara send him. I met this lady, and she came 1987, my uncle 1985, and come out in the jail, and he mind is so strong. He stay all the time smile, very relaxed. He said everything's okay, don't worry. He always everything's okay, everything's okay. Amazing. And something. He said okay, okay, everything's okay, everything's okay. He all the time talking, everything's okay, everything's okay. And one time, this 2 years later, and then come this lady come bring lots present for him. Their looks become one family. Then at that time, and he tell this story. She helps me. She was 9 years old, and she bring nearly she sent this 2 years bring. Amazing, isn't it? After 2 years, and then there one big letter come, and then he was shocked. Before the 300, only 30 people live almost dead. And he give a complaint this government. This not good. This not our plan. Yeah, this helps some people. If you are strong, your uh, faith, and then something coming there. Right? Uh, Amazing. How difficult in the present stage, and he stay. He do in mentally do practice, and he said most people never keep complaint. Never keep complaint. They say our past life big mistake karma, bad karma. Never blame Chinese soldier. No angry. Amazing. I think after 1980, 1985, laws prisoner come out. I think there maybe, for example, 300 come out. Maybe one, two little bit mental crazy, not good, not sleeping there upright. Most people no problem, nothing. They do laws practice. They do in the present. They do laws practice, and come out. This is the big difference, big difference, in here and New Zealand, present laws people, I think 99 people mental problem, they can't sit. In Tibet, before 1915, 99% they don't have mental problem. Opposite, this opposite. This helps Dharma practice have like that situation, right? When the 먼저 배배 미디를 낭죄도 면에다 배원 용범 망부차 제즈는 아예 용범차 살게 지잖아 용범 망부차라 저런서 상담들아 수수 개가 파포 사자포 릭슝 톨라다 근데 저는 경서 데이터스래라야 저런서 상담 스타다 간데 데이터스래라 수수 사자가나 수수 용마죠 수수 빈자 통마죠 근데 저는 간데 용스래라야 상담지 따다
If we Tibetans didn't have Dharma, probably a lot of us would have gone crazy. I would have gone crazy. you think about it, you have to give up your country, your culture, you're split from your friends, your parents, you can't stay. How would you have been able to bear it? It's quite hard.
그래서 삶을 standard 와.
Please reflect on that.
이제 지나서 아이는 가르치스래. 계속 가르치스래. 간데 대서래. 상단에 야워다라야. 상상에 야워요래. 네. 근데 오늘 지나서 답에 기부 쉬질래 대대요 돼. 하고로. 라와 쉬질 봐. 할래베라.
If you were in my shoes, how would you have experienced it? What would you say? How would you react? Actually, when you look at your situation now, you're so free.
왜 다디 베제디마 사면 된샤. 된샤. 차도.
We will read the rest of the text.
We're at the bottom of page 5. The verse that begins with
Until you attain a body with pure characteristics, you will not make progress in your practice of the Supreme Path. Train in the causes for becoming free of birth impurities.
since your three laws are
근데 왜 다시
negative
상황에만 파워 되니
Therefore, continuously cherish the
거기서
paths
와주세요.
of purification of
실행이
the four
좀 교체된
forces.
거는
You,
고아가
the perfect guru, practiced in this way.
I am seeking
semje는
Also
저는
practice in this way. If you do not put effort into contemplating true suffering,
제전 저도 단데는
you will not develop the wish for liberation. If you do not contemplate true origins, the steps for entering samsara, you will not understand.
다시네 란다랑 베데 담바는 제메에서
Love weariness, definite emergence from samsara, and cherish the knowledge of what binds you to samsara. Generation of
You may see that
a Buddha against the enemy, the snake of hatred, and thick armor against the weapon of harsh speech. Having understood this, cultivate the armor of the strength and patience in this way. Also practice in this way. When you don't find the light in the sea and the body is insufficient realization of your best sacrifice. All your behavior becomes having understood this, accomplish truly, forth billowing waves of happiness, you the perfect guru practiced in this way. I am concentration is a king ruling the mind. When placed it is immovable as Mount Meru. When set forth it engages all virtuous objects. It induces the great bliss of the service of body and mind.
Having understood this, the lords of yogis rely continuously on the meditative stabilization that destroys the envy and distraction. You, the perfect guru, practiced in this way. I, who am seeking liberation, will also practice in this way. Wisdom is an eye seeing profound thusness, the path eradicating the root of existence. A treasury of qualities praised in all the scriptures, and renowned as the supreme lamp for dispelling the darkness of ignorance. Having understood this, the wise ones desire liberation, generate the path with much effort. You, the perfect guru, practiced in this way. I, who am seeking liberation, will also practice in this way. One-pointed concentration alone is not considered to be able to cut the roots of samsara. Wisdom separated from the path of karma binding will not avert the afflictions no matter how much you analyze. Having mounted the wisdom that reflects on the real mode of existence, upon the horse of steadfast karma binding, with sharp and grapple the logic of the middle way free of extremes, destroy all mental fabrications grasping at extremes. With vast wisdom analyzing you in this way, increase the wisdom that realizes thusness. You, the perfect guru, practice in this way. I, who am seeking liberation,
That when one, let's say, is patient and develops merit, that the reward is wealth.
Oh yeah, from generosity comes wealth, from patience attractive. Yep.
Okay. Why is that a benefit for someone who's done good, virtuous merit in one life? Because if you're rebirth with wealth and good appearances, how does that help you in spiritual?
So the question is, if you've done merit in terms of patience and generosity, and you end up with the result, which is wealth and attractive looks, is that a benefit?
Well, you're saying that at death none of that matters, right?
What?
You're saying that at death none of these things really.
Wealth cannot take. That's correct.
Yeah. So why is it better to have it when you're reborn? What's the benefit?
Really? Ale, 대대로. 다디 수수 고는 라레요라.
Yeah.
다디 베나 베샤 망보스 네 캄보디아 다디 나라지고 대이 상무단제 잡샤나 아니 쉬우쉬우 편하게 해야 말아. 다 나라 대진가 나라 비주체 나라 마데다네 나라게 지 빈자다 민제 미신다딘데 비주체리 그래 도졸 편도 치그래 삼나 아니 신다를 편도송아 안디 편도버디 개외자어디 수술럽 수편도 연구요라 제가도 제가도 연구요다 그봐 지버지냐는 먼저 망보 쉬우지 요체 무간을 맞아 워체 아니 밀레 마데웨체 싸올라 베샤나 편도 연마봐 다 망고요나 아니 저 제가 제가 미 지조를 로바체 도와 밀 로바체 지샤나 아니 편도도 와 어디나시 대나시로 지레스로
The benefit or not of accumulating wealth is a mental thing. It's a motivation. So if you were to create wealth just for oneself in the context of that wealth, it wouldn't be so good. But if you were to create that wealth or be able to use it for others, or even leave it behind for them, that would be virtuous. So let's say you leave some wealth to help, for example, a Dharma center, that would be a virtuous thing, a good thing.
다 디면은 내려지러 와서 수수지고 돈다 있나다 편하시다 개요 말하다
I guess your question was, if you can't take it with you, why would you? Your question was, if you can't take it with you, why create it? Is that the question?
No, well, like it seems like it was saying that
by generosity,
by your good virtues that you've done,
yeah,
generosity,
yeah,
you are rewarded with wealth and
yep. In the future life, yeah.
How is that a benefit? Giving it up. If when you die in that next life, none of that matters to you. You're saying that all that matters is your spiritual insight at death.
But that doesn't contradict future getting the result, though. I don't see the question.
No, the reason that it's good to be wealthy and look good and have fame and all that, even though we're not attached to it, is so that you can practice Dharma. Because with wealth, you can buy freedom, like you're free. Practice Dharma. Totally easy.
그런 truth, 가르치는 디 규노, 가르치는 짐바탕그래, 가르치는 저버감잡그래, 가르치는 시위레드 디창말라. 펜더면도.
알레 대대로 되나.
그냥 치어 먹말라 드버.
지 짐바탕은 롱제 용거로 롱제요나 아니 가서 최체를 밀레 편도 지에요로 저 단도 미망 오지라고도 나 진짜 용이 저것도 나 빼샤면도 나 내가 치고도
You are generous. The result of that generosity is wealth, and then you can practice Dharma. There are a lot of people who say, "Oh, I can't come to class. I have to work. I have no money," so they can't practice Dharma.
야, 컨트롤 빼셔야나. 나 두제면도 그래.
And there are those who have money, but then they say, "Oh, I have no time to practice Dharma."
And 두제다 빼셔니가요나. 아니. 다 등산 록다운 제 참사면도 다 가르치겠네 이제.
And now they have both time and money because of lockdown, so they're trapped.
아자들이 네 가르치는 가서 짐바당 수업 공부하려위나. 짐바당야디 저 미주단 초보차야 돈다 말이. ngazo susu sena machi ya che patangor sena chena ani dig kangye shuje sogo yoro sene re mi shuje longjo ya che de jimbat nyamne ngone nyamne chinje de nga jimbat ang nga longjo yung gres ti jumje te tang yo mares
Okay.
jumje garesena de chala la sena yuna ani dig dungye mangbo shuje sogo yoro sena chi gyo mares tila go yoro danzi chi gyo mares se yoro odil she goresta so
Now, this parameter of generosity, why we should give, it is not because we want to be wealthy. It is that giving is an antidote to miserliness. And miserliness is not a good state of mind. Miserliness creates a problem. So when you are generous, you are not a miser. You're not doing it solely to become wealthy.
어디 당진 치기요
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So the generosity is a countermeasure to self-clinging, to this very strong self-grasping.
어디
Yeah.
어디 되죠
Okay.
그래
Is it good?